So as you can see on my screen that I have already opened up Blender. Now this is Blender 4.0. I would suggest you try using the newest version of Blender every time you are using it because it will allow you to use the newest tool every time you open it up. Okay? So what you're going to do is that you're going to see this box. You don't have to do anything over here. Whenever you click outside of that box or that pop-up window, you'll basically see that it will be removed. Now, there are a couple of things which I'm going to show you in this lesson. It's going to be adding an object, removing objects, navigation, and also three different basic things, okay, which is going to be scaling, moving, and also rotation. Now, make sure not to skip any parts. Now, another thing is that I have a couple of suggestions for you is that if you have a keyboard which has like numpads on it, it will be easier for you to toggle through it, okay? It will be easier for you to make your work a lot more easier in Blender because it will just allow you to change your perspective of your model. Okay, well, I'm going to show it to you. Even if you do not have your numpad on your keyboard, it's totally fine because I'm also using two keyboards most of the time, but I don't have, which I have the external one. I don't have a numpad on it, but as I'm using a laptop, you can also try using it, but you can see that some laptops do not have the numpad, but it's also totally fine. I'm also going to be showing it to you how you will be able to use the numbers or get this advantage even if you don't have a numpad on your keyboard. Okay, so let's start off with the first thing. This is going to be the interface of Blender. Now you can see that there are a lot of things which is going on around here. Okay, you don't have to think about anything. Just follow up the couple of steps which I do. Make sure not to skip any parts and you will be good to go. Okay. So first thing what you're going to do is going to be fixing up your workspace. Now, if you want to fix up your workspace, first thing you're going to do is that you're going to go off to edits and click on preferences. Now, this plays a very vital role. So I'm going to click on interface. And now here you can see we have this resolution scale. I can see this is going to be, I feel like this is quite small in my preference. So if I want to make all of these UI interfaces a bit bigger, you have this option over here, slider. I'm going to just increase it just a bit and all of them will get a bit bigger. So I keep it somewhere around 2.7, which really helps me, okay, which helps me to see all of the things very easily and it gets a lot bigger, okay? But it's going to depend on your own personal preferences. You can also customize your line width if you want. So let's say I want thin ones. You can also keep the default ones. You can also keep the thick ones. You can see that there's thick now, which you'll be able to distinguish them easier. But I'm going to do is just keep them thin or keep it on default, which is obviously the thin one. Then we also have the splash screen. You can also turn it on and off. And then we have is the developer extras. Well, you don't want to go through developer extras. You want to stay on the basics. So make sure not to turn it on. Use the user tooltip. Make sure not to turn on the Python tooltip because obviously if you want to add Python coding, then you're going to turn it on. But if you don't want to, make sure to uncheck it. And on default, it will be unchecked most of the times. And the rest of the ones, keep it to be the same. If you want to change up your language, you have this option over here. From here, you will be able to change up to whichever language you want to use. Okay. So it's also up to you, whichever one you want to use. So basically, we are done with our preferences. Now, I'm going to show you a couple more things which you have to keep in mind. On the screen now, you can see that we have a cube. This is basically the camera from which you will be able to see after the end result. So this is the camera which you'll be able to get the end result from. And this is the light. And you can also see three of these over here on the scene collection. We have the camera, we have the cube, which is this one, and then we have the light. So three of them composed up to be an animation or a sculpture. Okay. Now what I'm going to show you is going to be the navigation in Blender. Now there are different kind of methods of how you'll be able to navigate in Blender. Now if you have used Blender a while ago, or if you have idea about Blender, if you use the older version of Blender, You already know that there are two methods of selection and navigation in Blender. On Blender 2.0 and below, it used to be the right click on the keyboard, not on the keyboard, on the mouse. But now it's basically the left click. You can see it over here. I can select each and every one of them just by using my left click on the mouse. But what does the right click do? Now, if you press on the right click, you will be able to see the object settings or the object preferences. Okay. So it's basically up to you how you want to work with it. Then we also have the buttons, which we can use are the scroll key on your mouse and also the scroll button. Now, if you use the scroll key, you'll be able to zoom in and out when you scroll up and down. Then if you hold onto your scroll key and toggle, you'll be able to move it in different angles. Okay, so this is how simple it is. Now you can see something is in the middle, which is this one. This is the 3D cursor or the 3D point. Well, I'm also going to be showing it to you how it basically works up. I'm going to show every of the basic ones. You can see we have the camera. So when we have our end results, we'll be able to see it from this specific angle or from this specific camera. Okay. Now, let's show you that how a number pad on your keyboard will help you to make your work a lot more easier. To do that, first thing what you have to do is that if you already have a number pad, I already have a number pad already. If I press on 1, you can see now it is changing the camera angle. So when you press on 1, this is the front view. If I press on 3, it will give me the back view or the right view. If I press on 7, it will give me the top view. And you can also use the other numbers. Let's say I want to use 8. You can see I can also put 9 in different angles. I can put 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. Okay? So it just basically helps you to change angles in your software, or let's say in your workspace. Now, what if you want to check out how it looks like from the camera view? So press on 0 on your keyboard and it will take you to the camera. And I can see we are viewing it from the camera angle. If you press on 0 again, it will just get out or swatch it back up from the camera angle back again. Okay? So this is how it will look like in this box. Okay? So even if you export it, this is the view which you will get. Okay? Then we have is the period on your number pad. Press on that. You'll be able to toggle through that. Press on the selected subject, and then you'll be able to zoom out. I'm going to press on 1 now. I'm going to zoom it out. There we go. So basically now you know how you'll be able to, let's say, change up the angles. But if you don't have a number pad, you don't have to worry about it. Go off to Edit, and then go off to Preferences. On the Preferences, you will find out Input. On this input, use this Emulate Number Pad. Click on that, and now close it off or shift it to another, side, as I have shifted it to another monitor over here. Now, what I'm going to do over here is that you can now use the numbers on the top of your keyboard. Let's say I want 1, 3, 9, 7. Okay, now you can see I am basically using the numbers on the top of my keyboard. Okay, not my number pad. So this is how simple it is. Okay, so now you know how it works. There we go. So basically we have it. Now let's move on to Edits and go off to Preferences again. If you want to change up the way your mouse works, click on Key Map, and there we go. Now you can see that we have this option of Select with Mouse button. Do you want left or do you want right? If you've used the older version of Blender, it was on the right mouse key. But now it's basically an object preference, or you can also move your 3D cursor. Okay, now the 3D cursor is helpful in a lot of ways, which I'm going to show you step by step. Then we have is the spacebar action, then we have is the active gizmo, tool key, and all of them. So let me just show you. If you want to use the right click, you can also do that. You can also select it with your right mouse key. Now you can see when I press on my left, it is now working, or it is now holding onto this 3D cursor. Press on Control Z just the way it works. And just keep it in the center. Now what I'm going to do over here is going to be changing it back into my left key so that it is a lot more easier. But now, if I press on the right, you can see that we only get the object preferences. But how do we move this 3D cursor? Press on Shift on your keyboard, and then you will be able to use your right mouse click, and then you'll be able to move it wherever you want. Okay? And when you hold on to it, you'll be able to see that there are a lot of keys which you can see at the bottom of the screen. Snap base, snap invert, snap toggle, rotate, resize, and all of them. So I'm going to keep it in the center. Okay? So even though it's not on the center, and now I'm going to show you about moving the object. Now, if you want to move any of your object, first thing what you have to do is select up that object and press on G. Now, how are you going to keep that in mind? So G is for grab. Now, you don't have to do anything like click on your left mouse key or anything. Just take it or move it wherever you want. You can see this is how it works. Okay? So press on G again, or press on the right click again, and it will get back to where it was. If you press on G again, and then what you're going to do is going to be, if you want to move it on a specific axis, such as the Z axis, X axis, or the Y axis. You can see Z is at the top, Y is the left, which is green, and red is X. So if I press on Z, I will be able to move it specifically on the vertical angle. Okay? You can see I can take it top and the bottom. If I press it on X, I'll be able to move it on the X axis. If I press it on the Y, I'll be able to move it on the Y axis. So you can see how simple it is. And if I press on my scroll key button, I'll be able to move it in all angles I want. I just have to drag it. I can see this is on my X axis. I can also change it directly onto my Z axis just by taking it or pulling it upwards. And if I take it on the left side, or this line, green line, by holding onto my mouse key or the scroll mouse key, you can see now it is swatching up or switching every time I take it on that specific axis. I'm going to press on my right click button again, and it will swatch it up or get back to where it was. Okay? So now you can see how easy it is to move. And if you just press on G, you'll be able to move it wherever you want. There we go. Now you can not only do it on the specific box, you can also move your camera. If I click on this, press on G, I'll be able to move the camera wherever I want. I can also change it on the Z axis, the X axis, and also the Y axis. And I can also apply the same effect by pressing onto my scroll key and moving it on each and every angle I want. Okay? So it's up to you how you want to work with it. So I'm going to keep it over here. There we go. I'm going to press on O, and this is how it looks like. So I'm going to do is just press on this one, press on G. I'm going to keep it over here. Press on O again, and there we go. Looks quite better. O again. There we go. We can see the whole thing now. And I can also do the same thing with the lamp. So I'm going to do is just zoom out a bit. Now I'm going to do is keep it over here. There we go. Now what I'm going to do is that change the angle of the light. So I'm going to click on that, press on G, and there we go. You can move it wherever you want. Do the same thing with the Z axis, X axis, and also the Y axis. Okay? So do it or keep it wherever you want, and press on your left mouse key after you are done so that it will take up the effect. So we are basically done with our grab. Now let's learn a bit about how we can rotate up the object. If you want to rotate up the object, it's also very simple. Select up the subject or the object on your workspace, press on R. Now you'll be able to change it wherever you want. But you can see it is now only rotating in a specific angle. You can see this is how it works. I can also do the same thing by pressing on Y, Z, and also my X. You can do the same thing by pressing on your scroll key and moving it wherever you want. And there is a specific method to it, which I'm going to show you in this part, is that if you press on R 2 times, you basically see it will turn out to be like this, or your cursor will turn out to be like both arrows. Now, what will happen is that it will turn into a tracking ball. You can move it however you want. Okay? So this is how simple it is, and it just makes it a lot more easier. But I prefer using my Z and Y axis and, X axis. It just makes my work a lot more easier because it is snapped up to only a specific angle. Okay? So you can try using them if you want to, but if you don't want to, you can also use the trackball. It's basically up to you. And I only use the trackball when I'm using like different type of elements, maybe a circle and all. It just helps me very easily to manage it up. But if I have like a square or a rectangle or a triangle or cylindrical shape, I don't basically use the tracking ball effect. Okay? So this is how you'll be able to rotate it. You can do the same thing on the camera. You can rotate it wherever you want. You can also do it, double click on R, and you'll be able to rotate it like a tracking ball. You'll be able to press on that again and fix it up. Z axis, Y axis, X axis. It depends on how you actually manage it up according to you. It works the same way in case of the lights. R, you can move it. You can also rotate it. But now as it is a circle, you will not be able to see it. Okay? Then, as we're done with rotation, let's show you about selection. After selection, I'm going to show you about scaling up your object. So first things first is that if you want to select in Blender, you can use your left mouse key just like this. Click, click, click. But you can select all of them up just by using this option, which is kind of like the same way for other softwares too. You can also select by using Shift and pressing on them. There we go. This is how easy it is. I'm going to show you a couple more navigations too, but just make sure to follow these up. Okay? So this is how you'll be able to select up certain objects. And you can also select it from this collection over here. It will also allow you to customize it whenever you select it from the scene collection. Okay? So now what I'm going to be showing you is going to be a couple of shortcut keys. First thing is that if you want to move on or navigate, your scroll key is a very vital, let's say, tool. So if I press on Shift, I'll be able to pan it on whichever angle I want. I'm holding on to Shift right now. Okay? But if I press on Control, I'll be able to zoom in and out just by pressing on my scroll key. I'm not using my scroll key to roll up and down, but instead I'm just using my scroll key as a button, and then I'm just zooming in and out. Okay? So Control and the scroll key button is going to be the zoom, and Shift and scroll key button is for pan. Okay, you can pan it up on whichever angle you want. And if you let go of everything, you'll be able to see it in different angles. And you can also scroll wheel to zoom in and out. Just the way you can control and then scroll. Okay? It's basically up to you how you want to work with it. Make sure your work is a lot more easier in that way. Then we have, which I'm going to show you, is going to be the scaling option. If you want to scale up your object, first off, select up the object over here and then press on S. When you press on S on your keyboard, you will basically see that it will be something like this. When you scale it, this is how it will increase. You can also increase it on the Z axis. You can increase it on the X axis. You can also increase it on the Y axis. Depends up to you whichever axis you want to. But if you don't want to select up any axis, just make sure to, press on S and then increase it. It will increase on all axes at the same time. So this is how easy and this is how simple it is to work with this option. You can also do the same thing with the camera. S, increase, You can also double press on S. You can press on Y. You can press on X. You can also press on Z. It's basically up to you how you want to work with it. There we go. We have our very large camera right now. So I'm going to do is just press on G. I'm going to move it up a bit back. Let's zoom out. Press on G. There we go. If I now shift to the camera, what I'm going to do is just take this one over here, G. There we go. If I go off to the camera right now, there we go. We have our element. I'm going to take this one over here too. There we go. I'm going to zoom out. Here we have our light. I'm going to do is just press on G. Press on 0, and there we go. Now what I'm going to be showing you is going to be how you can remove and add your elements in Blender, which is also very simple. Now another thing which I'm going to show you over here is that's about selection, okay? Again, now if you want to select all of them up at the same time, including the camera, this lamp, and also the shape, you can use this, right? But if you double press on A, you can see it will be selected. If you double press, it will be deselected. Press A to select once, double press to deselect. You can also change it to one select each and every time. To do that, go off the edits, go off the preferences, and on here, you'll basically see that Alt-click tool prompt. Click on that, and then close it off. And now if I press A once, select it, A again to deselect it. That is how easily it works. Okay? If I press on A and A again to remove it. So you can turn it on and off however you want, but you can also like change it whenever you want to. So I prefer using double click. It's just, I just got used to it. But if you want to change it to single click, you can also do that. So let's remove them however we want. So let's say when you select on any elements, you can just press on delete or backspace. But I prefer another method, so I could click on this option and I press on X. Now when I press on X, the advantage of using X is that it's just closer to my hands, okay? And it just allows me to like check if I actually want to delete it, okay? So you can also see if you want to delete it accidentally or not. So if I press on delete again, and there we go, it is deleted. I can also delete it, press on X, X again, and we'll delete all the things up. Now we have this option over here. I'm going to press and shift, and I'm going to change it over here, okay? Which is at the center. Now I'm going to add up the elements. If you want to add up your elements back again onto your workspace, it is very simple. You can press on add option over here, click, and you can also apply it. But I most of the time try using a shortcut key, which will actually make your work a lot more easier when you keep working on and save up a lot of time. So press on Shift and A on your keyboard and it will open up on your workspace. From here, you'll be able to apply whatever you want. From here, I'm going to click on Mesh. And now let's say I want an icosphere. Press on that and there we go. It is right over there. If you want to increase it, press on S and increase the size. There we go. Now I'm going to do is change this, 3D cursor over here. Now if I press on Shift A over here, and I want to apply plane, you can see now it is over here now. Why? Because wherever your 3D cursor is, that is where your elements will be applied. You can also press on Ctrl Z to undo the effect or undo what you did. Let's say I'm going to press on Shift A, and now I want to click on this cube. There we go. Press on S to increase it up. Press on S again. I'm going to increase it up just a bit more. And there we go. We're good to go. Now I'm going to apply another one, Shift and right click. And now what I'm going to do is going to be applying another one, Shift A. From here, mesh, I'm going to apply a monkey. Press on S again to increase the size. There we go. And I can also rotate it. And I'm going to scale it up a bit less. There we go. Totally perfect. I'm going to fix it up a bit. I'm going to press on Y-axis. Press on Z-axis. On the X-axis, I'm going to do like fix it up. Rotate, or double click on it. There we go. I can see it is now over here. I'm going to just keep it somewhere around over here. I'm going to press on X. I'm going to just keep it a bit at the front so that we can see that 3 of the elements are over here. Okay? Then what you're going to do is that you can also zoom in different ways. You can zoom in like this, but what I try using most of the time is pressed on Shift and B. When you press on Shift and B, I can select up the subject which I want to zoom, and it will be zoomed in. Press on O again. You can also change back. You can also zoom out whenever you want. You can do the same thing on this one. Press on Shift and B. Zoom in. There we go. It has zoomed in. This is how simple it is to work on Blender if you are following up. Okay? And navigation is very simple. Okay? If you want to apply in, let's say, a camera. Let's say I'm going to do zoom in, zoom out first. I'm going to apply camera, Shift A. Now I'm going to do is going to be clicking on camera. There we go. We have our camera. I'm going to just scale it up a bit. There we go. I'm going to press on G. There we go. We have it. Press on X-axis. G. Press it on the X-axis and take it a bit further. Press on O. There we go. I'm going to do select on this, rotate it, Y-axis. This is over here. There we go. This is how it will look like. Press on O, and there we go. We have them. Okay? You can also scale it up if you want to. What I'm going to do is going to be changing it. There we go. Also zoom out and also keep it wherever I want. This is how simple it basically is. You can press on G, keep it over here. Press on this one, G. There we go. We have 3 of the elements on our camera. Now we can also apply in a light, Shift A. Let's say which we had is the point light. You can also increase the size wherever you want it to be. And that is how simple it is. You can also remove all of them again by pressing on delete from your scene collection. And whenever you want to apply it, Shift and right click to keep this 3D cursor. And then you're going to do is going to be applying it over here. Let's say maybe I want a mesh now. I want a circle. There we go. A circle has been applied. If I press on that, I want a mesh. I want a UV sphere. There we go. We have it. So hope you understood everything about this lesson on how you'll be able to navigate, add and remove, rotate, scale, and also grab your elements in Blender. Okay, so this is how simple it is. Just make sure not to skip any part. There are also different methods of how you'll be able to view your specific object or subject in your workspace. You can also go through them, which I'm going to show you step by step. But till then, make sure not to skip any part. Make sure you're connected to the internet most of the time when you are working on Blender, because it will help you up with a lot of facilities. Okay, so thank you again for watching this video up to the very end. And without any further ado, let's just move on to our next lesson of Blender.